CalPADS error resolution, CRSE 0690F2 error, course section missing education service code. So the first step when troubleshooting any error in CalPADS is to always consult the CalPADS error list. Here we have a description available to us from the Excel version of the CalPADS error list. So the first two columns on the left, you see the error name and the error number. These will be what is provided to you in CalPADS, and it's used for a reference. Now, the error description, the fields validated, and the suggested resolution provide us the tools we need to troubleshoot the error. The error description says the education service code field is not populated for a course section for which the English learners are enrolled. Right? So that is the nature of the error. That is why the error is triggering. We have English learners enrolled in the course section, and that course section record does not have the education service code field populated. So the fields validated tell us where to look in CalPADS. 9.20 represents the course section file. 12.13, the EL language acquisition code, that tells us that's the CELA file. It tells us where to look in the student record, where to reference information in the CFS to identify what is conflicting. So the suggested resolution has two sections: understanding the error and things to check for in the submission. Understanding the error will tell us why or what the expectations of CalPADS are or is. So the system is checking to make sure that if there are any English learner students enrolled in the course, that the education service code is populated. Again, that is the reason why the error is triggering. What to look for: verify the course section is delivering an EL service and ensure the strategy code is populated with the correct code. If the course section is not delivering an EL service, populate 5 no English learner services. So I do take exception that the documentation says strategy code. It should say education service code. At the very bottom, how do you resolve this error? Populate education service code. It is that simple. Okay, here we have the CalPADS file specifications. It's an Excel document as well. You see field number on the far left, 920. So the error list reference this documentation so we can always look at it for more information. And it gives us some rules. I've highlighted number 3 in the comments. Although this cannot be validated upon input, LEA should ensure that this field is populated if there are English learners enrolled in the course, right? And so that's the nature of the data discrepancy that has triggered the CRSE 0690F2. After input, the course record's already in there. It's comparing the EL service code to the student course section enrollment file and seeing that there are students that were EL enrolled in the course, and therefore it must be populated. It is after input, so you've already submitted your course record, probably with no errors. You submitted your student course section enrollment, probably with no errors. And now when we're looking at the data to see if it's reasonable, we identified a discrepancy. There's always further information about the why. It's referenced the CalPADS data guide. We have English learners as a section. In the course data section, you have English learner services. So there's 2 points of reference in the CalPADS data guide to get more information about the education service code and how services are delivered to English learners. One important thing here is you can see that it tells you, again, the CFS field number 9.20. It lists the different education service codes in the definition that you can choose from. And then there's a comment. This field is required if there are English learners enrolled in the course. So that's the expectation, and you can understand why the error is triggering. So what are the simple causes for the CRSE 0690F2 error? There's only really two. The EL service code is not populated at all, or an EL student is incorrectly enrolled into the course. Those are the only two situations in which this error will trigger. And so either you're going to populate the education service code to resolve the error, or you're going to remove the student who's the EL student triggering the error out of the course. All right, let's go into a demonstration of how to identify and resolve an example of the CRSE 0690F2 error. Okay, so now we're going to look at the CRSE 0690F2 error. Course section missing education service code. You can see we have 255 of these errors triggering, right? So you can always click the link to open the CalPAD user manual, and we have the complete error description. Again, the error name and the number are used for reference. That's always at the top. And then the details help us identify the cause of the error. The Education Service Code field is not populated for a course section in which English learners are enrolled, right? Tells us the fields validated, the Education Service Code, which is in the course record, English Language Acquisition Status Code, which is in the CELA record for the student, and these numbers indicate, if you use the CalPad CFS, where to look for the validated data, and then the course data. Right? Understanding the error system is checking sure every English learner student enrolled in a course has the Education Service Code populated. So if you submit any course record with a single English learner in that course, you have to populate the Education Service Code to indicate services. If no services are being provided, you use 5 no English learner services. This gives you a little bit of an indication of how to find the error. Let's go back to the data discrepancy screen. We'll scroll down. We have a couple seeds, and then if you click view, you can see the error record. So if we were to select a seed, we have the staff record, we have the staff assignment, and the courses. So we've opened the course container, and we can see the courses the teacher is teaching for the 24-25 academic year. And we can see that none of these courses have a Education Service Code populated. So this information just confirms what we already know, right? So if you want to troubleshoot, you actually want to open the error record or the record triggering the data discrepancy. It's the same thing. It's confirming the details, which we already know. The Education Service Code is not populated, right? There's no data, but it gives us the information we need to research. So we know this is the record that's triggering the error. So if we copy the course section ID and then using the online maintenance in the left navigation, we can go to course data. We have done that already here. So we're on the course data screen. We filtered for school, right? This is the school in which the course record was triggering the error. Populated the course section ID, and then we click apply filters, and we've narrowed it down to just the error record, right? I can see that there's no Education Service Code. So I don't need to open the record and see the individual details. I can confirm no Education Service Code is populated. What's triggering the error is the fact that there's no Education Service Code populated for students that are EL students. So if I click Student Course Section Enrollment, so on the Student Course Section detail screen, you can see your course record at the top and the list of students. And if you open a student record, which I can right click and open a new tab, we have the student's information here, and you can see we have at least one EL student. And because this student is EL, the Education Service Code must be populated for this student. Here are the course details. Here's the Education Service Code. And if there were no services provided, no English Learner Service would resolve this error. You want to make sure that for every course that has an EL student, one of your Education Service Codes is indicated based on that staff member's credentials and authorizations. So that is how you would resolve this CRSE 0690F2 error.